Everyone, welcome to another Anthem live stream. My name is Jesse Anderson, part of the community team here at BioWare, and I am joined by...
I'm Ben Irving, the lead producer for Anthem.
It's been a while.
Has been a while. It's good to be back.
It is. So
many things have happened since the last stream.
Yep, indeed. So we've got quite a number of things to kind of show and go over today. Yep. So if we want to put that up on the screen, some of the things we're going to be talking about today. There we go. And Ben, take it away.
Yeah, so this stream is mainly about the Cataclysm. So one of the things that we've been focused on trying to change is we want to talk about things when they're closer to being done, so that we can kind of talk about something and then ideally have the community play it. And so one of the things we'll get to a bit later is how we want to get some feedback for the Cataclysm and how we want to do that on our public test server that Jesse will talk about at the end.
Yep.
That's something we want to do pretty quickly. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I think for the purpose of this, it makes sense to say, we want to get people into public test server next week. So the things we're showing now, we want you all to play next week so that we can show it to you. You can think about it, you can play it, you can give some feedback, and then we can make it better. So that's kind of the purpose of this, is to show you a bunch of stuff and then ask you all to, if you're interested, to give us feedback. And then we can make it better, and then we can launch it when it's ready.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that at the end of the steps that we're taking there and how you get access, all of that stuff. So
yeah, but for now, what is the Cataclysm? So we've talked about it before. The Cataclysm is intended to be aspirational content. So we wanted to create something that is accessible to all players, but also something that for the people who play the most, who want to min-max, who want to push themselves, who want to compete against others, we have some content that gives kind of that method to do so. And so that's really what the Cataclysm is about. We're creating it as an 8-week event. So the first 2 weeks will be some pre-events. So we actually patched them in our patch this week. Yep. So they're not turned on yet, but they'll turn on 2 weeks before the Cataclysm starts.
Yeah, that was what we had said, like this sets things up. That's what that was doing.
Yeah, and so part of kind of the narrative setup, it's hard to explain the narrative without spoiling things. So a very short version is, after the things that happen in the crypt path, the Dominion forces are in a bit of a disarray, and they're starting to feel really desperate. And so they're scared of this power that's rising to the north. And as part of that desperation, they are feeling connected to a power. And a new faction emerges from the Dominion. They're led by someone called Vara, and I won't explain her story because you'll learn all about it. But in this act of desperation, the Dominion trigger a cataclysm. And so the freelancer's job is to understand, how did this happen? And what can we do to silence the cataclysm? So that's kind of the narrative setup. So the 2 weeks of pre-events will explain a little bit of that. Then we have a 6-week Cataclysm event. So what's in the Cataclysm specifically? So first of all, we have some new story missions. So there are 3 new missions with some really good kind of what we call PCAP, but kind of high quality cinematic scenes that we think are coming along really well. There's a brand new area called the Cataclysm, and that's what we're going to play through a little bit today. At least playthroughs we're probably going to give you a tour of it. Is that a better? We'll give you a tour of the area without kind of spoiling the secrets and mysteries that lie within.
Right.
But we'll give you a brief tour of the area of the Cataclysm. There are some new systems that come with this. I talked about things like competing and being replayable and playing it a lot. So with that, we have some new systems: scoring, inversions, and leaderboards. And so we can talk about what those things mean as we kind of go through. And then, the final thing is, okay, well, you have this cool stuff to do and play, like, why do I do it? What's the rewards? And so we have a lot of cool new vanity coming with the pre-events. And then in the 6 weeks when you play the actual Cataclysm, we have some brand new rewards as well as an increase in power. And so we might just talk about that at the end after we explain how it works. We can get into, well, what are the new things that you have and how do I get them and how does it work? And we'll kind of cover that at the end. So that's kind of the high level of like, what is this Cataclysm and how does it work? And I think what we'll do is you'll probably play a bit, and as we see things, we can kind of just explain in a little bit more detail about how it works.
Yeah. And we can, just if we see a couple of questions from the chat, maybe even.
Oh yeah, I have Twitch chat again here, right here.
Yep.
And I'm on Jesse's account, which means I can say whatever I want. and
please,
not get in trouble.
Yeah, please.
Although now I've given myself up. But
you
that's
have,
fine.
so they know it's not actually
like
me.
hi team.
Hi team!
Exclamation point.
All right, so are we ready?
So look for questions. The only thing just to mention before we start is part of the Cataclysm is there's a lot of kind of secrets and mysteries to solve, and even completing some of the objectives you have to figure out. And so we don't really want to spoil that for people by showing you how to do it. So this will be more of like, we'll fly to a spot, we'll kind of talk about it, and then we'll fly on. And so that if those of you that want to play on the public test server, which I forgot to mention is PC only for this first go round, you guys can go on there and play it and work it out kind of for the first time. Or if you want to wait till it goes live, you can like not have it spoiled for you. So we'll show you some stuff, but the point is not to show you everything, so that you all can go out there and explore for yourself and kind of let us know what you think.
And this is, so the build we're playing on here is a version that will probably be the one maybe next week. Changes, I'm not sure. So it is still working. It's work in progress. So you may see some things that are, like.
That's a great point.
Hopefully nothing, too out of whack. But
well, the intent though really is that this is early.
Yeah.
Like in our development process, we're not finished, and so there are things that are unfinished, and there'll be bugs, and the game might crash, and a bunch of things might not work, and we'd rather get that out now before we finish everything, so we have some time to get feedback and make changes to the Cataclysm.
For sure. All right, ready to hop in here?
Oh, let's go.
All right, let's swap over. Drum roll. boring.
I'm the worst drum player.
Boring view right now, but
so
are we on gameplay? No, you went to the wrong thing. Preview. That's afterwards, talking about more stuff. They're like, Cataclysm loot! We are going to talk about that some more.
We are going to. Oh, here we go.
It's all good. So here we are. So if I turn the camera angle here, this is this beautiful beach.
It is a beautiful beach.
I was admiring the birds flying off here in the distance.
So before you fly out...
Right, I'm not leaving yet.
Okay. So you start the Cataclysm in kind of like this safe bubble, and you'll see why that's important in a second. So a couple things to call out here. The first one is on the right, you see a score UI, which is a new thing. You see the score multiplier, which is 1x right now on your score. So one of the ideas for the competition of the Cataclysm is you can beat the Cataclysm reasonably easily, but you get a low score. The challenge is to find out all the tricks and routes and different things to do to get a really high score. Yeah. So as we play, we can talk through what some of them are, but a lot of them we're going to leave as a mystery for, the community to discover themselves.
And we do have on protection here so we don't die, right? Like we can
Did you turn it on? I didn't turn it on.
I don't know if I did.
Can you turn us off the screen for a second?
We just want to make... We have some secret stuff we're going to do real quick.
Cheat codes, sorry.
Cheat codes. I handed the controllers Ben.
We did not do it.
Oh, that would have been bad. I would have died.
Yeah. So you can swap it back now.
Now we're good.
Yeah, so we wanted to just do one player for the sake of explaining, but this is intended for 4 players, and so it would be hard to do solo.
And one thing before we get going, it is, like Ben said, you can play through everything on a lower difficulty if you want to. You can see everything, but to get that higher multiplier, that's where it comes in. So basically, we don't want people to be scared of it being too hard.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing also, we're trying to make all of this accessible to all levels.
Yep.
And then the rewards you get just scale depending on your level.
Sure.
So if you haven't finished and you want to just come back to the game and play it, you can do that. All right, enough talking.
Whoops. I hit my...
Oh.
Well, we didn't need that anyway. I was trying to do this. See, the chat wheel. For those who haven't seen, in 1.2 we added so this went live, a chat wheel. So.
Yep.
But, all right, here we go.
Yeah. So when you leave the safe bubble, the first thing you'll notice is there is a crazy storm because you're in this Cataclysm. You can see the big waves, you can see trees blowing over, but also at the top you'll see a UI that is shrinking. And so basically that is your resistance to the Cataclysm itself. And once that bar goes to 0, you'll take a bunch of damage and eventually be downed. So one of the tricks to the Cataclysm is managing that bar. One thing you'll notice is Jesse is getting wrecked.
I don't have a great loadout here. That's why we turned on God mode.
So one of the things, and we're not going to solve all these arenas. So there's a bunch of arenas in the Cataclysm. The goal is to start with an amount, and then over the 6 weeks, we'll kind of increase the arenas so it changes up the meta of the routes people are taking and the ways people are trying to score. But if you can shoot the thing in the middle above, this will create a safe zone. So just as a general mechanic, so now we're safe from the storm, and you can see the yellow bar falling back up. So one of the strategies here is if you find one of these activities to do, or one of these arenas, you need to create a safe zone. Like in that situation, Jesse would be down, and he'd have to respawn and kind of start again. So there are a bunch of mechanics. The arenas have different criteria for completing them. So in this one, you can see on the right-hand side in the kind of tracking area, we have to stabilize 7 rods. Some of you may have played other parts of the game where there's a similar thing you have to solve, so you get a bit of a leg up. And so there are a bunch of different arenas that you need to go through. So Jesse has created a bit of a safe zone for himself, but as he leaves it, he ends up back in the storm. So
and it is on a timer, so you have to reactivate it after so long too.
Yep.
So if I do that, then it comes back.
So we won't go solve that. Let's go fly somewhere else.
Where do we want to go? Should we show the map real quick too?
Yeah.
All right. Wrong button.
There is a map inside of the Cataclysm, which kind of shows you where the arenas are at. So you can see this space is actually really big. So we think there's a lot of cool stuff for people to explore and discover. And again, we call out the arenas, and not all of them are available at the start, right? So we'll extend that over the course of the Cataclysm event. You can see kind of the locks and the whatever. But there are lots of secrets and mysteries. So I think as people explore more, they'll find different ways to earn points. It's hard to describe some of this without getting super in the weeds, and it's your first time seeing it. But there are some interesting things, like you'll earn extra points when you're in the storm. And so, while you disable something for the arena to solve that thing, when you solve the arena, you earn more time. So you can see the timer in the top right is counting down. Your ultimate objective is to defeat Vara. So we could fly straight to Vara now, who's the leader of the Dominion forces we talked about. We would just score a pretty small score. But if we complete arenas, we add more time to that, so we can spend more time in here earning more points and getting a higher score. So again, if you fly out into the storm, you get a 2x multiplier. You can complete certain things to up the multiplier as well. So I think, and we've been iterating on what this is, and it's part of why we want the feedback from our PTS environment. But I think arenas increase the multiplier as well as add time for right now. We can tweak that. There are things to discover all around. Some are underwater, some are in different places that help you extend time and give you bonuses. So that's kind of the high level summary of the arena. We really love the look of this. I think our artists did a polished push last week, and they're not quite finished, but I think it looks really cool so far, especially the storm effects, which aren't turning up so great right now, but you can see the trees being blown over and stuff like that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of information. Let me see if there are some questions, because I feel like I just said a bunch of stuff for 10 minutes.
Said a lot of stuff, Ben. A lot of stuff.
Can we talk about level design? I'd love to talk about level design. I think we should spend a lot of time right now about level design.
Community knows I love talking about level design.
How long is the PTS for? We'll talk about that at the end, but probably a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'll kind of assess the feedback and go from there. But we do want to try to get this out quickly and not spend a lot of time on feedback, on PTS, but we want to balance that with getting feedback and making sure we have this tuned and balanced, in a way that is really fun to play for the whole event. Talk about loot fools. Okay. Maybe we could rephrase the question to be slightly more respectful, but like I said at the very start, we're going to talk about what the rewards are and loot and a bunch of things once we get through explaining the Cataclysm, because hopefully then that makes sense. So we'll do that. Other questions? I really need to know about level design. Okay. People asking some questions about matchmaking from the patch today. So we're seeing all that feedback. We're talking about it. When there's something to announce about that, we will do so, probably via Jesse. So
yep,
no worries.
yeah, I've been talking to different people on the team. They're aware of some of you've been having problems with the time it takes to matchmake. As I shared and put up on over on Answers HQ or forums that we made some changes, but time is supposed to be a max of 3 minutes, but some people are running into longer. So that's what we're investigating. What's could be happening there.
Cool. Can you make that screen come back up?
Oh, yes, I can.
It has our talking points on it. So chat is saying a lot about loot, so why don't we go ahead and start talking about rewards?
I will sit here 1 second.
Okay, so
my bad.
There is, you're all good. We have a bunch of new rewards coming with the Cataclysm itself. So again, the pre-events for 2 weeks, we have a lot of really cool challenges to do that reward a lot of cool vanity. And so that's kind of the reward mechanism for that 2 weeks. And then the Cataclysm itself, we're adding some things. So we're adding some brand new weapon types. And so we'll talk more about that later. They're not available at the start of the Cataclysm, so a bunch of the rewards will unlock as you progress through the Cataclysm. So the weapons are kind of the big, cool new thing that will be available towards the end, and so we'll share more details on them as we get there. We're adding Masterwork and Legendary support gear.
Finally!
Yeah, which is cool.
Instead of having that one purple slot.
Yeah, just the one purple slot. So we're adding that in this patch. We are going to add new melee slots. So, and just to be clear, these are variants of the existing melee things. We're not adding axes or hammers or whatever. But I think it's really cool. Like, say for the Ranger, you have the Shock Mace right now, which is a primer. We'll add a variant for the Ranger that could be a detonator. And so you can earn, Masterwork and Legendary melee slots as well. So it's another cool thing to equip your Javelin with that you can chase after. As well as it'll be interesting to see how that affects some of the meta of what builds do people make now that, I think we're doing it so every suit can have a primer or a detonator as a melee slot, which is pretty cool. Oh, I talked about support gear first. Oh yeah, so we're adding some new Masterwork gear. I skipped that. So some variants of existing gear pieces. We're adding new Masterwork and Legendary versions of them. So there'll be some cool new gear to chase. Again, to mix up the builds, to kind of hopefully change the meta of what people are playing. And then the last bit, so all of that new stuff we're adding will be at a higher power level than the current stuff. So it's a 5-level offset for now, but that's actually one of the things we want some feedback on PTS from, is like, what feels good, what feels right to honor previous work that people have done chasing existing gear and things like that. So, that makes Masterworks 66, I guess, and Legendaries 76.
Yep.
Hopefully my math +5 is okay. So that's the new loot coming with the Cataclysm. Now, the mechanism for this is probably something that we should cover a different time. I'll talk about it and explain it, but it won't be in the first PTS build. So the first PTS build, we want the feedback to be around gameplay, the gameplay experience, the Cataclysm scoring, how you do things. And then we'll patch in the new loot so that you guys can get some access to that and give feedback on those things specifically, and then how that affects the gameplay and stuff like that, just so we can kind of separate those things a bit.
Yep.
But the idea is the Cataclysm is a 6-week-long event, like we said, and you earn currency by participating in the event. So that could be doing the Cataclysm itself, earns you some currency. Doing the daily, weekly challenges for the game in general will earn you some currency. And then in Fort Tarsus, there'll be a new vendor. And you can go to that vendor and spend currency on rewards. And so they'll come in the form of war chests. And I think once we have that available before we patch that into PTS, we'll probably do another stream, or we'll do something, and we can kind of explain how that works. But the core concept is you play the game, participate in the event, earn a bunch of currency, and then you spend that currency on the war chests, and the things that are available in the war chests will change throughout the event. So for example, at the beginning of the event, it will be like the new melee items will be the things you can purchase from the event vendor.
Yep.
So that is how that works. In addition to that, we've made some another change to loot overall. So we decided to remove luck from the game. Luck was a bit of a tricky stat that wasn't well understood. It kind of caused a bunch of confusion. So what we did is we've basically taken it away and rolled in as if you had full luck to the base thing of every suit. So basically, if you played with full luck before, that's what it's like at a base level now. So the result of that is that there'll be much more loot dropping. So for example, if you're playing GM3, you should see more loot dropping in GM3 than you saw before because you'll inherently have full luck. For the people that had luck builds, we're replacing luck with armor.
That's what I was about
so
to
you
ask.
get a bunch of armor, instead of the luck. But we think it's a good change. Luck ended up not being a great stat, and the community didn't really like it, and fair enough. So we've changed that. We've also made a few gameplay tweaks that we can talk about a different time, but we're doing a little bit of rebalancing to GM3 as part of that. So there are a handful of gear and weapons that became by far the best things to use. And so we're trying to tone them down a bit, buff up some of the other things and that weren't as good to use or weren't part of the meta, and then rebalance some of the health and damage of creatures in GM3. So that's one thing we'd love feedback on from PTS. I don't know if it's in this build. We can double check that and make sure you communicate that out, Jesse.
Yep.
But getting that feedback would be good as well. Some extra changes. So again, there should be more loot in general because we've made luck part of everything. And then there's all the new stuff that we talked about coming with the Cataclysm at the 5 item levels higher. One thing... Oh, no, that's fine. You gonna say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, here's Vara. We won't go say hi to her, but she's
off in the
there.
distance. Yeah.
Off in the distance.
Yeah. So one thing to talk about. This is pretty early. So like the Vara we put on PTS looks pretty awesome, but doesn't really function that well. A lot of her mechanics are kind of not finished. So some work and some don't. But again, in the spirit of getting feedback on exploring the Cataclysm, working out scoring, how to earn points. All of that kind of stuff. We thought we didn't want to wait for Vara, and then when Vara is closer to being finished, we can get the feedback on Vara as well.
Yep, for sure.
I'm getting some texts, which normally means I did something.
Oh no, Ben, what did you do this time?
Oh.
Or are they yelling at me? Don't show that!
Good question. So, I missed some important features, which to be fair, I remembered. I just hadn't got there yet.
Oh, that's fine.
Because chat want to talk about loot, so I like to honor the chat. But thank you, Christian, for the text. I appreciate that. He texted me and said, "You missed an important question in chat, Ben." The question was in chat, is there some kind of ladder you can compare your score on to others? Great question. Yes, there is. So we're going to have leaderboards. The idea is that you can kind of compete on the leaderboards to compete with your friends or your guildmates or compete against the world to kind of be part of the team or squad that can earn the highest score in Anthem. So that'll be cool. That's not in here right now, but it will be in one of the PTS builds. We might have a early version in the first build, but I think it's coming in the second build, the second week rather.
I'm about to run out of time.
Oh, yeah. So
Dun, dun, dun.
there's a lot of nuance in all of this, but the time ran out, so now we end. There we go.
Hey, good timing.
It's like, please look. And so you can see we scored, there's a lot of placeholder stuff here because it's not finished, but you can see on the right we scored 13-20.
We crit for max damage.
So the interesting thing is when you defeat Vara, your score is doubled.
Yep.
So part of it is like pushing a high score, but leaving enough time for you to and defeat Vara because then you double everything that you have. And if you push it too close and you don't defeat her, you're going to miss out on a huge score, right? Because you don't get double points.
Yep.
There's another thing we didn't talk about yet, which was inversions. So inversions are a way that we change how you play the game. So, for example, the Cataclysm will have inversions that change every week. An example of an inversion would be, earn your ultimate 400% faster, or shotguns and SMGs do quadruple damage, or do double points from kills. And so what we'll do is each week rotate the inversions that are on the Cataclysm to see how the community reacts to using them to their advantage to get a higher score. So, for example, the first week we might do half gear cooldowns and 400% ultimates. So it's all about spamming ability and ultimates. And that's kind of the, then players might say, well, if that's the case, we want to kill as many things as we can for points. Other weeks it might be like manipulating the modifiers or having specific weapons or whatever. So that'll be an extra layer on top of this. And again, what we hope, and we want feedback from all kinds of players, what we hope is that, this is accessible to people who just want to come and have fun. But if you really want to get into this and you really want to push score, between the damage from the storm, the score multipliers, the arenas, the different routes you can take, the inversions, the new gear and equipment, and the hidden challenges, that there's a lot of different things to kind of play around with and kind of see the score that you can push. So, what did we talk about? Cataclysm is an 8-week event. 2 weeks of pre-events that have lots of challenges that give out vanity as rewards, into the 6-week Cataclysm event, where there are 3 brand new crit path missions with some cool new cinematics and a really interesting story. Then we go into the Cataclysm itself is available, which is a brand new area. It has a stability meter that you take damage from being in the storm. There are leaderboards where you can compare your score against others. You earn points. You find ways to get multipliers to the points. There are a bunch of arenas that will expand over the course of the event. So you can pick different routes and different arenas to do in different orders, or to skip or to not skip, to earn more points and to earn more time and to earn more multipliers. We have the inversions that will change how you play. So each week we can offer players different challenges and different ways to play the game. We have a bunch of new rewards coming in when the Cataclysm goes live. So we have some brand new weapons that we'll talk about a bit later. We have new masterwork gear variants we'll talk a bit about later. We have the melee equipable slots, so you can have primers or detonators, and they have different elemental damages associated to them. We're going to increase, for the new stuff we add, will be 5 item levels higher for the respective masterwork and legendary versions of it. And you earn those rewards by participating in the event, earning currency, going to the event vendor, spending currency, and the things that you have access to will change each week of the event. And we have removed luck from the game and given it baseline, so more loot should drop in general. And then we replace luck with armor for people who had luck builds. Whew.
That's a lot.
I think that's as high a level short summary as we can give of the Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about our PTS plans and how people who are interested in helping give feedback on this can come and check it out?
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about a little bit at the beginning, but PC only for right now. And the way to get access is it's actually anyone who owns Anthem on PC or has Origin Access Premier, you will get it automatically once we turn the PTS on. So it will be its own separate client. So make sure you have the hard drive space. You'll have to download the game separately. It'll say like PTS up in the corner. And that's how we'll have it. I think also there will be certain times where we have it, right? Like it's not up 24/7. I think that was one thing we forgot to mention.
Yeah, it's a good call. So because we would like people to get together and group up, we'll probably have some designated days.
Yeah.
We might end up with designated time windows, but I think the first time we do it, we'll probably it'll be up for a couple of days, then we'll take it down, just again to try to get people together playing as a group, because getting the feedback about group play is definitely what we want.
Yep, for sure.
So we can announce the details of all that.
Yeah, we'll have all the
There's a few
details
things in flux.
So once we have the PTS out there, we'll have a full post that details all this again of how you get it, what this all means. Also, we're going to be, like Ben said, we're going to be updating it regularly. So say we do one, PTS comes out a week later, we have another update to it. We'll post those notes, almost like patch notes of here are the new things, so you can know what's changed between the builds. If we have any known issues where something is like you said, Vara's abilities aren't working, we'll let you know that so that you're not having to say like, oh, there's a bug. Oh, we know.
And we're also, I think we're going to have surveys available as well. So we have a UXR team here who can roll up all the feedback and information you have and provide reports for us with summaries and themes and things like that. So if you guys, if you all are happy to participate in that, like that's super helpful for us because it can get all the stuff collated in a way that's easy to digest so we can make decisions on what we should change.
Yep.
Cool.
And there will be, so Answers HQ is where we're going to post all of this information. So you've seen, like, I just posted the update kind of saying this stream was happening. So over there on Answers HQ, we'll share it again through the Anthem game Twitter handle, pointing to it once it's live so you can know where to get all the information, where you can go if you want to provide feedback, all those sorts of things. And like I said, it's going to be updated regularly, and we're going to be, like, I'll be in there, talking with players.
Yep,
and
you sure will.
Anything else on PTS? I mean, that's pretty much
just
make sure there's nobody else.
Really, this is all about wanting to get something in front of players early and get feedback so that we can make changes before it goes live. And so it's our first time. We'll probably need to improve how we do this in the future, and there's probably some things that we can do better, but we still wanted to do it, learn from it, get the feedback, and then keep doing this as we do bigger content updates in the future. Yep,
for sure. And we are aiming for next week, like we said at the beginning of the stream. So we'll let players know when that's about to hit. And also, I've seen people asking about EA Play, so we are going to be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there.
EA Play for us this year is more about the Cataclysm and PTS and talking about what we're doing with that. And so we have a whole lot of game changers coming, which a group of people who play a lot of different EA games that we work with to get feedback on. So we have a bunch of us we've got a couple hour working sessions with them they're going to play this for a bit, then sit with us for a few hours and talk about it. And so we'll be there doing that. We also have some areas for people who come in off the street, the public to come and play Anthem, both the base game if they haven't played it before, but also check out PTS if they're a veteran player, so people can come and do that. And we'll have a couple devs there, answering questions for those people as well.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a short stream from there. It'll just be 5 minutes, kind of recapping some of the things we've talked about here. It's a bit of a broader audience, so it'll be a higher level view than this, but yeah, we're really just excited to get out there and talk to players, talk about PTS, talk about the Cataclysm, talk about what we have going on, and just get feedback and keep working on the game and keep making the game better.
Yeah, and we will have with the Game Changers different things like podcasts, videos, interviews with with the two of us, other members. So if you remember Chris Schmidt, who was on a stream a while ago, everybody loves Chris. And yeah, I forget all who's going, but we have a lot of different.
There's a bunch of us going.
So we'll have, I think, some pretty interesting podcasts, kind of covering different topics of where they can speak to their specialty. So we'll share all that information too, so you can know where to go get a little more of the meaty details.
Yep.
But
otherwise, once again, we are over time, which means it's time to wrap up.
Yeah, we are right there at the minute. But thank you everyone for joining in. We'll do another live stream probably after EA Play once the PTS is up and we've got more updates. We can talk more about the different weapons and things like Ben said. But stay tuned to when PTS is ready, and we look forward to hearing from you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right. Take care.
Have a good day. Take care, guys. Bye.